Today we're going to talk about a figure who climbs out of a hero's grave, not to continue the story, but to tell everyone the story was kind of a joke to begin with. We're going to deconstruct this character, the verdant and gold Jester, or Der Grün Gold Nar. He's this fascinating mashup of Old Norse myths and some pretty sharp modern philosophy, all aimed at taking apart our very idea of a hero. Think about it. We love these grand, sweeping epics, right? Stories of triumph and tragedy. But have you ever wondered what happens when the story just stops? When the last hero falls, the noble bloodline is extinguished, and there are no more pages to turn? Well, that exact question is what sets the stage for someone entirely new to walk on. And believe me, he makes one heck of an entrance. Our story kicks off not with a birth, but with a resurrection. It's a complete paradox, crawling right out of the earth that was supposed to preserve the heroic ideal forever. So, get this picture in your head. A haug, one of those sacred burial mounds for a great Viking hero. It's been sitting there for 1,000 years, a monument to glory. But suddenly, something inside starts to move. And it's not the hero waking up. Not even close. It's a jester, stretching after a millennium-long nap. So what wakes him up? It's not a magic spell, not some epic call to arms. His alarm clock, as this quote tells us, is actually an ending. It's the death of the very last descendant of the legendary Volsung clan. The total, complete end of a heroic family line is what finally rouses him from his slumber. It's the universe's way of saying, all right, show's over for the heroes. Now, this isn't just a cool story beat. There's some serious philosophy at work here. Nietzsche called it Untergehen, which basically means a downgoing. It's this idea that old ways of thinking, old values, have to completely crumble and fall away to make room for something new to grow. So for our Jester, the end of the heroes isn't a tragedy at all. It's a massive opportunity. So who exactly is this character who crawls out of the ruins of heroism? Well, to really get him, you have to understand the war that's constantly raging inside his own body. He's a being who is literally split down the middle. One side of him is gold. This represents that cursed treasure from the sagas and that relentless drive that Nietzsche called the will to power. You know, that need to possess things, to build a legacy, to achieve something permanent. The other side of him is verdant, green. This represents the wild, untamed chaos of nature, the silent, absurd universe that couldn't care less about human ambition and eventually reclaims it all. He is the conflict between human striving and cosmic indifference, all in one body. So, with that kind of perspective, what does he think of all those epic poems and heroic sagas? He thinks they're hilarious. All that fighting, all that suffering, all that tragedy, all driven by the hunger for golden glory. To him, it's just one long, bloody joke, and he's the only one who seems to get the punchline. Okay, so what does a guy like this do with his newfound freedom? He doesn't raise an army, he doesn't plot a coup, nope. He walks right into the heart of Viking civilization to take it on with the most unexpected weapon you can imagine: laughter. He shows up at the Thing, the formal Viking assembly, and you have to understand, this isn't a battlefield. This is their version of a courthouse and a parliament rolled into one. It's the absolute center of their law, their order, and their attempt to make the world a sane, predictable place. And his big move? He points at their most sacred symbol of power and honor, a golden arm ring, and he mocks it. He calls it the source of all your will, basically telling them that this shiny object is the engine of all their problems. This is more than an insult. It's a cosmic need, a ritual takedown of their entire worldview. So let's just recap how this goes down. He strolls in, completely derails their formal assembly. He openly mocks the symbol of their ambition. He delivers this devastating, reality-shattering insult, and then he just laughs. But this isn't a nervous chuckle. It's described as active laughter, a force so powerful that it freezes the strongest berserker in the room. The warrior can't do a thing. It's a weapon that brute force has no answer for. Now, this isn't just chaos for the sake of it. This whole performance is driven by a really radical philosophy that we need to unpack. His philosophy is known as the will nair, or the will fool, and it's basically the will to power turned inside out. Instead of using your will to conquer the world and force your order onto it, the will fool uses their will to fully, completely embrace the fact that existence is chaotic, absurd, and makes no sense. The whole point of being a willful is right here in this quote. It's to laugh at the impossibility of that order. See, a hero fights and dies trying to build something that lasts in a universe that is defined by constant change. The Jester sees how futile that is and finds his freedom by laughing at how absurd the whole attempt is in the first place. And this table just lays out the difference perfectly. The hero carries a gleaming sword to carve out a destiny. The Jester, he has a chipped axe because fate is already broken. The hero was obsessed with that golden ring of power. The Jester just shakes a fool's rattle, a symbol of starting fresh. The hero lives by the code of the saga, of order. The Jester just lives by chaos and laughter. And let's dig into that rattle for a second, because it's not just a toy. In Nietzsche's philosophy, it symbolizes the child. This is the final stage of a big spiritual journey. You start as a camel, carrying all the burdens of tradition, then you become a lion, fighting for your own freedom. But the ultimate stage is the child, who's so free that they can create brand new values just by playing, dancing, and laughing. That rattle is the sound of true liberation. So where does a path like this actually lead? What's the final act for a character who rejects everything a society values? He doesn't try to become king. He doesn't try to change the system from within. He just leaves. He retreats back into the wilderness. But this isn't him admitting defeat. It's a deliberate final rejection of what Nietzsche called the herd. Society, its laws, its ambitions, the whole shebang. He's choosing the wild, unpredictable world of becoming over the rigid, defined world of being. And that, ultimately, is the Jester's whole purpose. He's like the shadow of the Overman. He isn't the new, evolved human himself, but he's the herald who shows up to tell everyone that a new way of being is possible. He's here to expose the heroic ideal as nothing more than a beautiful cage, one built from that cursed desire for power, and he offers everyone an escape route, not through fighting, but through laughter. And that's the question he leaves us with. The hero dedicates their entire life to winning a game defined by glory and gold, but the Jester makes you wonder. Maybe true freedom is only found in that moment you realize it's all just a game, and you can just laugh and walk away.